this very moment is alive with God. Look what light is shining. The light of God shines.
How's everybody?
Good.
Great.
All right. The heart knows. Connect to the divine within and access the powers of your heart. Its wisdom and grace will guide, comfort, uplift, and inspire you to be who you have come here to be. Please stand and face east. East, air. Air is the most unique and mysterious of all the elements. It represents all that cannot be seen, the soul, heart, and spirit world. It can be unpredictable, playful, seductive, and soothing. Slowly breathe in. As you breathe out, trust in the wide open spaces of spirit. The time has come to soar higher and experience vibrant living. Please turn to your right. South, fire. Fire is considered a primary agent of change. Through its heat, fire purifies and transforms. The energy of fire is about self-expression in its alluring and wildly brilliant dance of light. Step into the fire and live. Slowly breathe in. As you breathe out, let go of all limiting beliefs and step into the fiery spark of creation as you live out loud. Please turn to your right. West, water. Water represents the flow of life. It gracefully conforms to any container or environment. It is a powerful example of non-resistance. Be aware of the day-to-day currents and move freely with them. Slowly breathe in. As you breathe out, let go and give yourself completely to the wisdom and flow within. You are awake and in awe. Please turn to your right. North, earth. Earth energy is nurturing and grounding. A deep bond with the heart of Mother Earth is foundational for spiritual health because it gives each one a sense of purpose, invites us to be open and receptive, and reminds us of our interconnectedness with all life. Slowly breathe in. As you breathe out, take time to let go of the busyness of life and embrace the quiet by connecting with Mother Earth. Please turn and face your screen or center aisle. Close your eyes, put your hands over your heart, and feel the presence of these elements within, honoring each as an element of spirit. Now open your eyes. Take a moment as you see with the eyes of God. Notice God looking back at you.
Good morning again. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, we must give up the struggle to remain the same. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our challenges. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems for growth. The mind must conceive before the creative energy can produce. It is its nature to create through our thoughts and actions. And the affirmation is, I'll read it and you can follow me. I live my life from a deep sense of trust and faith.
I live my life from a deep sense of trust and faith.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Joseph Selleck and the music director here. This morning I'm delighted to be introducing Sean Buckley, a good friend and wonderful musician. Sean is a guitar player, a singer, and a songwriter, and just a excellent musician. And he recently returned from visiting his youngest child, who is away for his first year of college. And he's glad to be back in Santa Fe. Please join me in welcoming Sean Buckley.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be back. Feels so great. And wow, I was in southern Utah, Cedar City, and boy, the colors. And I was telling Reverend Ann, her hair just brought me right back to yesterday. I love it. But then, of course, it's whenever I travel and I'm leaving family, coming back, it's like I'm kind of sad and teary-eyed. But then I get closer to home, and it's just I get here. I'm so blessed to get to live here, get to come here, visit, and sing with you all.
We were just offering a little musical introduction.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Oh, I got distracted. Because I know that song. I've heard that before. It's on my pocket.
Denise, I don't know if you need to do something, but the screen on
Residing in juniper, sheltering robin nest, a mystery by which we are forever blessed, perching on the rooftops as mockingbird swirling in the dust behind a galloping herd. In the music of the marching band, in the sweet, sweet corn grown on fertile land, every day it gives our daily bread, shows the way if we follow the thread. In the singing and in the silence, in sorrow and times of bliss, with us always upward pressed, forever and forever this. Telling salmon when to swim upstream, offering solution green it appears, over the ponds dispersed, in gold it stands, on the side of justice, residing in juniper, sheltering robin's nest, a mystery by which we are forever blessed, lending courage to those who have none, quiet as a whisper, it soars to in the singing and in the silence, in sorrow and times of bliss, with us always a quiet presence, forever and forever this. In the singing and in the silence, in sorrow and times of bliss, with us always a quiet presence, forever and forever.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. So some of you have been here when Mishu has been here as our special music, and I think she's coming next week or the week after. And that is a song that Mishu and Joseph wrote together. And they are preparing to create a CD.
Yay!
And I keep reminding them they're preparing to create a CD. And I keep trying to come up with my top 10.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because all of their music is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful, and it speaks right to my heart.
Yeah.
So, you're welcome. So we will all be here to support you.
Yes.
That's right. For the grand opening, for the, no, that's not what they call it. They call it
Release party.
a release.
A release.
And in lots of other ways. Good morning, every day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am so excited to greet you all this morning. And you may have heard me say that before, and it was true then, too. And I literally have goosebumps today. Oh, I forgot to tell you who I am. So I'm Reverend Ann Ray, and I am privileged to serve with this amazing everyday community as its senior minister.
Woo! Yeah.
So why am I so excited? Every year at some point, it's been a tradition for a long time that centers will spend a whole month talking about the first 4 chapters, which really aren't the first 4 chapters, but that's another story, of Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind text, which the first version was published in 1926. So we've been at this for a while. And he and his brother Fenwick had been at it for a while before he published the book. He was one of 11 or something. Anyway, so why is it such a custom to spend 4 weeks talking about these chapters? It's not because it's a custom. It's not because at some point Ernest Holmes said, y'all gonna do this. Because he never said that once about anything. He never said that once about anything. He never said, you're gonna do this, or you're gonna believe this, or you're going to follow this. He never said once that about anything. It's because these first 4 sections of the Science of Mind text are the basics of the science of mind. Religious science. Bless you on the truth. And so this morning, we're talking about, well, actually the whole month, we're talking about, and I always name it something different, but it came to me about for this year to call it what it is, and to call it what he said it was from the very beginning, and that is scientific prayer.
Yep.
He didn't call it spiritual mind treatment. He didn't call it affirmative prayer. You know, we being ministers have used every ounce of creativity we can find to call it something that is palatable to a larger number of people.
Right. That's right.
And even the word, some people even have allergies to the word prayer,
Yep.
let alone other allergies I could also mention. But when he and his brother started their practice in California, in Long Beach, in their therapeutic treatment centers, they were treating people with prayer. There were no doctors. I mean, there were doctors then. We're only talking about, let's see, book was published in 1926. This is probably the mid-teens. So there were certainly doctors, and there were all kinds of what they thought then, were cutting-edge treatments. But this was a different kind of treatment. This was treatment using prayer and only prayer, using the spoken word. And there was no, let me tell you what there wasn't. Because there are things that we learned, various ones of us in various faith traditions, we learned how to beg.
Yep.
We learned how to negotiate. We learned how to, I was really good at this. I'll promise to not do whatever that thing is that annoys my mother. And if you'll just, you know, that's its own form of negotiation,
Yep.
otherwise known as manipulation. There was in the method of prayer that Ernest and Fenwick developed, there was none of that. It was purely scientific. And I felt, there it goes again, I felt so strongly when I was inspired to refer to this entire month as being about scientific prayer, that I really felt that I had touched into something that hasn't been spoken of in a long time. So what makes it scientific?
It works.
It's repeatable. It's repeatable.
It's verifiable.
It works, it's repeatable, it's verifiable.
Works for everybody.
Works for everybody when, Denise?
According to their belief.
Great. And does it matter where they are?
No.
So do they have to be in those days in one of their therapeutic centers, or could they be down at the beach, or did they have to be anywhere in particular?
Anywhere they were.
Because why?
Because it works in the one mind.
Did y'all hear what Denise said? Probably not online. So it works in the one mind. It works the same everywhere all the time. What else do we know works everywhere the same all the time?
Gravity.
Well, if I wanted a smart aleck answer, I would have prepared myself. But that's true. And gravity is a great example of a universal principle. It works the same everywhere all the time. And there are countless other reasons why it's so important to realize that the method of prayer that we engage in, we teach, we use for others, is universal. It's universal in its benefit. So let me just start there. Because it's a huge idea. It's a huge subject. And you gotta start at the beginning.
Yep.
So when you hear me say there is one life, one power, one presence, it is my life now, it is our life now, it is all life now. We've got to start there. Because that's the only way it can be effective. The prayer that we teach, the scientific prayer that we use, it's the only way that it could work everywhere all the time for everybody, no matter what.
Right.
It's the only way. So wait a minute, what'd she say? So I said, when I say that there is one life, there is one power, there is one presence, it is my life, it is all life now, it is that life that is expressing through my words. The only way that life can express it so that it's identifiable is through its creation.
Yeah.
It doesn't keep trying on different costumes and showing up like a jack-in-the-box, going, here I am. No, here I am. It's everywhere all the time present. Just as Joseph and Sean sang about. It's forever and forever this. So we are, now don't anybody get scared, but we are not only its creation, we are its instruments.
Yeah.
My hands,
my feet, my eyes, my ears, my voice are its instruments. Now we can decide differently. We can choose differently. We can decide that that's a lot of hoo-ha. We can not believe it. But you know what? It's really weird. It doesn't matter whether we believe it or not.
Right.
So when we think about those we love, who might not have a clue about who they are, or even those we don't love, who might not have a clue about who they are, or what their capabilities are, or what their opportunities are. And we think, oh my God, poor them. Isn't that a shame?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they did know who they were, they would be making other choices. That is not our lane.
Right.
That is not our lane. Our lane is our own life. And we got plenty to do with that.
That's right.
Plenty. So first, we consider what it means to be an expression. What is an expression? In this case, when we're speaking of the one life, the one power, the one presence, we're talking about ourselves as an expression of that life. We simply are one of its moments of thinking it would be cool to create Anne. It would be cool to create this guy named Matt Bailey who loves to play golf and goes to the Church of Golf whenever he can. This is not a divine presence that is attached to how we believe.
That's right.
This is not a divine presence that is attached to how we express what we believe. In fact, hang on. I forgot to tell you to bring your seatbelts today. This is a divine presence that has no attachment. It loves all of its creation equally. Because to not is to not love itself.
Mm-hmm.
If all of his creation, me, you, Misty, wherever she is, if all of the trees, the juniper, bless their hearts, if all of its creation is its own heart, its own being expressing, how can it love it unequally?
Yeah.
How can it require anything in particular to be loved? It's going to say to itself, well, today, self, I am only going to love you if you make these choices. And if you don't make these choices, or if you aggravate somebody, or if you cut somebody off on the road, I'm not going to love you. Because you're not making the highest choices you can. But that never happens.
No.
There is no judgment. There is no withholding. There is no
moment in what we call time and space, which of course for the divine itself doesn't exist. It's just a means. It's like a freeway. It's a means for us to get from one thing to another. There's not a moment when we aren't loved, wholly, completely, absolutely, nor has there ever been.
Amen.
So how did Fenwick and Ernest figure all this out? And how did they figure out that if this was the case, then was there ever anything to cure? Was there ever anything that was broken, that needed fixing? How did they figure that out? By deduction. I know that sounds like an oversimplification, but that's exactly how they figured it out. Because if there is only one life, which is where they started, if there is only one life, and believe me, they didn't always call it God. They didn't even always call it God when Ernest was, because Ernest was the speaker, he just had that natural talent. He called it everything he could think of. He didn't call it peanut butter, so far as I know, but he called it God, he called it spirit, he called it the universe, he called it love itself, he called it everything that he could think of to make room in people's minds for the uncontainable. And they said, Ernest and Fenwick said, if we believe, because Ernest was a very deep student of Jesus teachings, the ones that were the parables in particular, the ones that had the stories hidden within the stories, hidden within the stories. And Jesus is quoted as saying, and he didn't believe Jesus, he didn't read Jesus, he didn't read the teachings, he didn't read the parables, because he thought Jesus was the guy. He believed that Jesus was the example of all of us, who just happened to get it earlier, to understand differently, earlier, who he was, what he was, and what his opportunities were. He said that himself. If we believe that a single word that has ever been printed that is quoted to him was actually spoken by him. But he had to have said something like that.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't anybody who followed along after him that would have known. You didn't just fall out of the cradle going, oh, I'm not the one. I am the example of the one.
Right.
And Jesus is the first one that is quoted as saying, "It is done unto you as you believe." But that's only in print, because he wasn't the first one to say it. Native American tribes taught it. All cultures taught it. It is done unto us as we believe. Now, doesn't that sound like a punishment?
Sometimes.
Doesn't that sound like a threat? Right? You better get your belief together or I'm coming. But that isn't what it means at all. What it means is, I've had the pure joy of bringing you life. And I will love you, and I will uplift you, and I will guide you always, no matter what. Hi, Pippa. And as you believe, it shall be done. Because I have given you free will. I've given you this huge power tool that's called free will. And how you choose to use it is entirely up to you. So, if you choose to use it for good, wowie zowie, do we have great things to do. And if you choose it for harm, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Because your choice is your choice, and your actions are your actions, but they will never be interfered with by me. So many times I hear, if there was a God, and that God was loving, and that God was good, how would these things happen?
Yep.
I don't know. Ask the person who started it. Ask the people who followed them. I don't know. What I do know is free will is free will. How we use it is up to us. And we are supported completely in our decision. Not by somebody giving us an attaboy on the back, but by nothing happening to interfere. So what? Why is that significant? Because there is another universal principle called the law of circulation. When our grandchildren were very young, we used to call it the law of consequences. It was the biggest first word they learned. Because the law of consequences, the law of circulation, is that there is nothing that is left unfinished. So the cycle is always complete. The cycle is always complete. Nobody makes a single decision that is left unfinished.
Yep.
So you can see why it's going to take me 4 weeks to finish this talk. There's a lot to be said, a lot to understand,
about why and how our word has power. So I could go on. But for today, I will leave you with these reminders. There is one power, one presence, one life. It is my life now. It is your life now. It is all life now. Always has been, always will be, period. And this is not just what religious science believes.
Right.
If you happen to be talking about what we teach here and our philosophy to anyone, and you can get this far, let them know that these beliefs are universally held, that these are deeply known and practiced truths throughout time. And consequently, because our minds need this kind of reassurance, we can rely on them.
Yep.
We can rely on how they behave, not only in our lives, but in scientific discovery. So today we're talking about what it is. Next week we'll talk about what it does. Exactly. What I invite you to do, because many of you are hearing some of these concepts for the very first time, or you haven't heard them quite this way maybe ever, because it depends on who our teachers were and whether we walked into this or stumbled into it or were a musician on a Sunday or whatever the case may be. Just play in God's sandbox this week. In the divine sandbox where you actually keep in mind it is done unto you as you believe. Where you actually keep in mind that you are a living, breathing, walking, talking example of life itself.
Yep.
And what opportunities does that create? Hang on a second, sending a little prayer over there. What difference might that make if it were true?
Right.
Ernest Holmes never once said, you have to believe this. What he did say is that it's not mine to tell you ever what to believe. It is mine to simply tell you what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And it is yours to decide. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That's good stuff.
I want you to get up and sing now.
Whew.
does this one feel so far? Okay.
Would you like me to? Or would you like that?
Or I could.
Okay.
So one of the exciting things is doing this is that there's this moment where I have no idea what we're going to do. It's like, oh, what about this? What about that? Do you have any ideas? Joseph mentioned this tune, which I'd never heard before, called Lawns by Carla Bley, a jazz avant-garde, I guess you could say, jazz pianist. And but there's a gentleman, Kurt Elling, who wrote lyrics to this tune. And I was not aware that she wrote tunes that were so simply beautiful and just quiet. Most of the stuff I've heard was pretty outside, you could say. And so this is a real treat to get to I guess dive in and explore this song. But, so we're gonna try this. Will flow and all at sea. The stars align in three. They're so fine and free in blue and in green, like leaves on endless tree. So come climb the skies with me. Come here and come to see melody and perfect symmetry in love, in light, in key. I went out at night alone, young blood flowing beyond the sea, seems to have drenched my spirit's wings. I bore my sorrow heavily, and when I lifted up my head from shadows shaking on the snow, I saw Orion in the east, burn steadily as long ago. From windows in my father's house, dreaming my dreams on winter nights, I watched Orion as a boy above another city's lights. Years ago, dreams ago, where youth goes to, the world's heart breaks beneath its walls. All things are changed, saving the east, the beauty of the stars. All things are changed. All things are changed. The faithful beauty of the stars. So come climb with me. Come here and come to see melody in perfect sense.